What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American now living in Freetown, Sierra Leone. If you want to know what's going on with the Sierra Leonean elections, the presidential elections and the parliamentary elections for 2023, then this is the video for you. All right. So if you are watching live, welcome to the live. If you're watching the replay, welcome to the replay. Again, my name is Joannis or Joe Hatagwa. I'm a Sierra Leonean American now living in Freetown, Sierra Leone. I spent 2 years of my life up until about 7 weeks ago, living in Accra, Ghana, and I have now moved to Freetown, Sierra Leone. And this coming Saturday is an election here in Sierra Leone. So we got lots to talk about. You guys have asked for it. We're going to talk about it today. So we're going to talk about this election. A few months ago, we did the Nigerian presidential elections. We talked about the candidates. We talked about the issues at hand. We talked about who were the preferred candidates. Today, we're going to do something similar for Sierra Leone. Smaller country, but the implications are very, very serious. So today, we're going to talk about everything from a neutral perspective. I will not be speaking about any particular party in terms of my favorite for many reasons, as you can imagine. So I'm going to keep this straight down the line and just speak to the issues at hand. I'm going to refer to some articles, Al Jazeera, Sierra Loaded, who have done a good job of kind of documenting some of the elements and the pieces to this election, who's involved, what do you need to know about the candidates? So I'm going to utilize their information to share with you guys what I know to be the situation. So we'll talk about the candidates, and then there is a little bit of controversy, and so we'll talk about that as well. As you can see, I'm dressed in my not so normal attire today because this is a serious conversation, and I want to ensure that I give it the proper it's just due. So before we get into everything, I want to make sure you guys can all hear me. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up so I know you guys can hear me on YouTube. Give me a thumbs up so I know you guys can hear me on Instagram. And by the way, we are live on 2 Facebook channels, 2 YouTube channels, and we are live on Twitch as well. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Just give me a thumbs up. I see Manelik says you can hear me. Cool. So we got Manelik. Mary Shea says, hello, peace and love. What's up? And Manelik had said good evening earlier. Great. And then we got Bonita Lola, the City Kitchen, and KN, what is it? Is it KNYNE Saints? Sorry, I didn't know how to pronounce the first part of it, but yes, you can hear me as well. Great. And Legitimate Gold Store said you can hear me. Cool. So we're going to talk about the Sierra Leonean elections today. It's definitely something that people have asked. Okay, 9. There you go. 9 Saints said you can hear me. Cool. And Emery Harding says, good evening, you can hear me. Okay, cool. So first of all, let me just give a quick shout out to where I am right now. I don't know if you can see the depth of this room. I am in the penthouse suite at Pearl Hotel. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you saw that I've done a tour of the penthouse suite here at Pearl Hotel, and I am going live from here. Mars, the manager, has been gracious enough to allow me to use this space to go live today because, as many of you know, here in Sierra Leone, there are some challenges from time to time with steady internet service and or steady light. And so I happen to have someone who has both. And they've allowed me to use their space. I was working out of the restaurant all day today. And so Mars and I met yesterday. We talked briefly. And he was gracious enough to allow me to use their penthouse suite. And if you haven't seen the video, go back and watch the video. It's nice. I like the suite a lot. As you can see, it's large. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom suite. And it's like a hotel and residences. So if you want to see what it looks like beyond what you just see right behind me, just go to the YouTube channel and check it out. Now, today, I am going to be putting some content up on screen so that you guys can follow along. So if you're watching on Instagram and you want to see who the political candidates are, you want to see what the comments look like from the folks that are on the YouTube live, you want to go to my profile on Instagram. So go to the Authentic African profile on Instagram, and you want to click on the link in the description or link in the profile. The link in the profile will take you to a link tree. The top link that says go live with me right now, just click on that and you'll be able to join the live on YouTube. I definitely recommend it because today I'm going to be going over stuff where it requires visual aid. So there'll be some videos, there'll be some pictures, and there'll be some commentary on screen. So without further ado, let's get right into it. There's a couple people joining. I just want to make sure that I acknowledge everyone. Rome MCCO says, what's up? What's up, Rome? And then on YouTube, we got M2 Organic Foods watching me live from Kumasi, Ghana. Peace, love, and progress. Shout out to Kumasi. I have not been to Kumasi yet. It's on my list of places to go. Maybe when I go to Ghana later this year in October, I'll get a chance to go out to Kumasi. Everybody tells me I need to go to Kumasi. I have a friend who stays in Kumasi a lot, and they continue to recommend that I should go. Liz Z says, thank you for covering this. It'll be interesting. You're welcome. And you guys asked for it, so we're covering it. So by the way, today we're just going to talk about the candidates. We're going to talk about everything leading up to the election. Next Monday, I will do a review if by then a decision has been made. I unfortunately am unable to vote in this election. I did not register in time. I was in Ghana, didn't get my Sierra Leone ID, didn't do the registration process. So unfortunately, I cannot vote. So this is a completely impartial party, someone who's not voting, just giving you guys the news and the updates to help you guys understand what's going on, who the candidates are, and what the situation is. I want to say shout out really quickly to Zainabu Sise Hara, who is a family friend who also is running for office. So shout her out real quick. Okay, Anne-Marie Harding says, what are the 2 YouTube channels you are on? So I'm on the Authentic African YouTube channel. I am also going live on the original Jay Hatagwa YouTube channel. And if you guys have ever seen that YouTube channel, you'll know that channel goes back to 2010. I haven't talked about it much here, but I did start a YouTube channel way back in the day. I did not continue. And so it kind of went dead for a few years. I posted some things on there from time to time. But anyway, that's where we're live. All right, cool. So we're going to get into the content now. So there's a number of different things I want to touch on. So I'm going to go through it each bit by bit, and then we can get to some of the articles discussing some of the things that are happening and some of the things that you may or may not want to know. So let's get this thing going. Okay. So for those of you who are new, well, actually, first of all, let me go ahead and share my screen. That's probably the best thing to do first. So I'm going to present my screen. If you guys, let me know that you guys can see it, because I want to make sure that I'm presenting properly. So, okay, it looks like it's up on the screen. So it looks like it's up on the screen. Again, if you guys are joining on Instagram, if you want to see what's up on screen, what I'm presenting, head over to the profile, click on the link in the profile. Just click on the first link at the top that says join me live now, and you can watch live with what I'm presenting on screen so that you can see what everyone else is seeing. So first things first, I post videos throughout the week, but the main substantive videos are usually Monday, Thursdays, and Sundays. Because this weekend was a difficult one for reasons that I'll disclose at a later date and time. I have not posted a video on Sunday or today because I'm going live. So the video tomorrow will be a video about the land purchase that we did in Bo and Kenema, in the Bo Kenema area. You guys have been asking for that content. I just saw a comment yesterday, I think from Koiva, who asked specifically about that. So just know that that is coming. So the content around that land purchase is coming. You guys will get a chance to walk with me, firsthand view of 5 acres of land. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I'll premiere it so I can watch it along with you guys. I can answer your questions in real time, and you guys will get a chance to see it. So We will do all of that live tomorrow at 6 p.m. GMT, which is 2 p.m. EST. So you guys will be, I just want to make sure I give you that update. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday this week and early next week, right, is when videos will be coming out. And so we'll do the land purchase on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I'm still working through what the content's going to be. It'll likely be an interview with someone, but we'll make sure we get you that going. Okay, we'll make sure we get that going. All right, so I stalled enough. Yeah, let's get going. Pro Woman J said, 3 ads before I could get to this. Monetize like a mother. Hey, Joe. Hey, Chad Hugs. Sorry for the ads beforehand. I meant to remove ads from the live. My bad, guys. Okay, cool. So let's get right into it. So I'm not going to go through the website and all of that. We've done that before. Here's what's interesting. We're just going to get right into the content. All right. So a couple things. Number one, there are 11 total candidates running for president. As you can see by this picture, and by the way, Sierra Loaded, I have to shout out Sierra Loaded. I'm in their WhatsApp group, and they are a true journalism organization in terms of the amount of content they put out in terms of journalism. I'm in their WhatsApp group, and their website tries its best to have up-to-date coverage, and I think that's really good because it's hard to find sites that have up-to-date coverage on the election that's happening, and so they really have done a good job with that. And so this picture depicts who all are running. Obviously, the 2 in the middle are the 2 main candidates, and that's who we're going to be focusing on today because they're the ones who are the 2 most likely to succeed if the incumbent does not win, or if the incumbent does win, then these are the 2 options that are likely to succeed. On the right-hand side, you will see that the Sierra Leone Electoral Commission actually listed out all of the different parties that are on the ballot. So all the political parties. So the main 2 at the very top, SLPP and APC. SLPP is the party of the incumbent, Sierra Leone People's Party. That is the party of the incumbent president, Julius Maada Bio, and the party of the opposition, the main, who was the party that was in power before Maada Bio, is APC, All People's Congress, and they're both doctors actually, but Dr., if I'm not mistaken, I think Julius Maada Bio is a doctor as well, but I do know Samora Kamara is also a doctor, and he is running as the candidate for the All People's Congress, or APC. There are many other parties. As you can see, there are 13 total. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but you can see them on the right-hand side. Those are all the people and the parties that are on the ballot in Sierra Leone this Saturday. This Saturday is when voting happens. Isn't it interesting that in other countries that are considered third world or less than, they vote on Saturdays, which is a day where most people are available to vote. In the United States, you vote on Tuesdays in the middle of the week where people have to take time off of work. I just thought I'd put that out there because to me, it doesn't make any sense at all. But I just thought I'd put that out there because that has absolutely no sense to me. But yeah, I think it makes sense to have voting on the weekends, or at least make it a public holiday. But that's my gripe, US. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I wanted to mention that. I think Mari Shai was surprised by the number of candidates and the number of political parties. Most people, I think, recognize 3 main parties, but the 2 main parties are the main ones that are recognized, much like what you might recognize in the States. For instance, there are 2 main parties. There's a couple of other parties. There's the Green Party. There's the Libertarians. There's now the Forward Party, I think, is the Andrew Yang Party. So there's like 5 parties in the US, but there's 2 main parties, right? And so you can look at it the same way. And so one thing that Zainabu was saying is, or Zainab, or Zion, I go through all the different names for her. Salon people will not stop work to vote during the week. And that's why it makes sense to do it on weekends. And I think it should do the same thing in other countries. She's also mentioning that there used to be 16 different political parties in Sierra Leone, but now there are 13. So thanks for sharing that, Zainab. I always like that the people listening and watching along always give additional insight and information that I don't have, so that we can always share that with you all. So appreciate that. All right, cool. So these are the candidates. These are the parties. So that's just to give you, that's just a level set. Liz did mention in the States, there's early voting to accommodate folks. Yes, there is early voting to accommodate folks. However, ideally, it should be a national holiday, in my opinion. Like in Australia, I think it's a national holiday. So MVP Cartel is in the building. Shout out to you. By the way, if you guys are joining on Instagram and you want to see what I am presenting on screen, you want to click on the link in my description. It'll take you to the live. So you can watch on live, so you can actually see the candidates and see what I'm presenting on screen, and you can see some of the comments as they come up. Traverse Culture is in the building. I got a surprise for you all with Traverse in the next week or so. We got some things to talk about, so I'm looking forward to that. But more to come on that later. Okay, so Mary Shai says that's so interesting. The number. Zainab saying good job, thank you. She also mentioned that we did that here too. Too many challenges. I guess that you mean by having it early voting. I'm presuming that's what she's talking about, because that was what was mentioned by Liz. Early voting was made to accommodate folks. Okay, again, if you're joining from Instagram Live, we are talking about the elections in Sierra Leone happening this Saturday. And I'm presenting on screen. So if you want to see what we're presenting, jump over to my profile. There's a link at the top that says join us on the live right now. It'll take you directly to the live. All right, cool. I spent a good amount of time on this. Let's move on to the next slide. So here's what you need to know. On June 24th, this Saturday, 3.4 million Sierra Leoneans are at least registered to vote. I know this came right out of an article from, I think, Al Jazeera, if I'm not mistaken, that said they will head to the polls to vote. But of course, not everyone who's registered actually always goes and votes, right? As you all know. Now, I think this number is significant because in the next paragraph, you'll see that the country has about 8.4 million people. So I don't do math in public, but that's a little under half. So I'd say about 45% of the population is registered to vote. So I think that's an interesting number. So Zainab's pointing out that it's a 5 million loss, poor engagement, in her opinion. I will say, when you look at the numbers in most countries that have it as a public holiday, things like that, you tend to see higher numbers. In the US, I think the number is a little less. I think it's like 30% of the voting population actually register and actually do vote. So I do think that this is kind of on par with many other countries. But yeah, I mean, who wouldn't love to see more than 50%, 70% of the voting public actually vote and actually register, right? Because there's another element. The registration process is a challenging one, to say the least, and it wasn't so clear to me as someone who you would think would be in the know. I did not register in time, and that's on me. I should have done more research because I got my citizenship back in 2019 so that I could vote. That was an exciting time for me, and I did not vote. I did not, sorry, not that I did not vote. I did not register in time to vote. And we could talk about the registration process maybe next week when we talk about who the winner is. But that was tough. So a couple of comments. King Joseph's good afternoon. I'm checking in from Los Angeles. Nice. LA. Shout out to LA. I lived in LA for 4 years. Zainab's mentioning not enough youth-driven vote. Information dissemination. There are some challenges there, which is what Zainab is saying, which is why I may not have known the process to register for voting. She's saying it's not my fault. And also mentioning the U.S. uses popular youth and trendy media platforms to engage larger crowds. Like, you know, obviously the Democratic Party in the United States is using TikTokers, And previously they had done that. On the right, the Republican Party tends to use people like Kid Rock and folks, in country music to try to get people engaged. So yeah, I think that there's some of the challenges in the country. This is a great question. I don't know the answer to this. Somebody might have to Google this, but you're asking, Anne-Marie Harding's asking a good question. How many folks are over the age of 18 in terms of the voting public? Because that's a good point. We said 8.4 million people in the country or so, right? There needs to be what percentage of those people are above 18? And then of those folks, the 3.4 million are actually registered to vote. So that is a good point. It's not 8.4 million people aren't all eligible to vote. And so that's a great point, Anne-Marie. And I don't know the answer to that. King Joseph is asking a question. Who do I think will win the election? I will tell you who I think will win the election after I know who won the election. I am not saying anything one way or another. We've talked about this on previous lives that it's very important to stay impartial, not to give opinions or thoughts, especially on a public platform, because we do not enjoy some of those things that we enjoyed like in the States in terms of freedom of speech and things like that. So I try to just keep it very impartial. Don't want to do any predictions. I am just going to give you guys the facts, or at least the facts as stated in some of the articles in which I've gotten some of this information from, and when I talk to people on the ground. Zainab's given some really good information on registration. I want to just put this out there really quickly because I think it's really helpful, and I'll probably include this in next week's live. But basically, she said registration was in September 2022, verification was in November 2022, ID card collection was in April of 2023, voting is in 2023. Campaigning just started officially in May 2023. So that's a lot. For those of you who had a hard time following that, welcome to the vote. Give me a second, guys, because I actually do need to plug in my charger. I just realized I'm at 12%. So I'm just going to grab my charger off the screen and I'm going to plug it in. Don't go anywhere because we have a lot to cover. My apologies, guys. I thought I plugged it in, but I did not. So I will be right back with my charger and I will plug it in right now. This is what happens when you go live, or you get the place that you're going to go live 10 minutes before it's time to go live. So, okay. Of course, this outlet's not working. All right, guys, gonna have to give me 2 seconds to go off camera again, because now I'm at 11% and I do not want this live to go dead. So just give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna come back on camera. I just need to plug in again behind me because I have another outlet back there. So I'll be right back. But in the meantime, you guys give your guesses as who you think is gonna win. If you guys know about the candidates already, I want to hear from you guys. Who do you guys think is going to win the election? Put it in the comments. I definitely want to hear from you guys. Who do you guys think is going to win? You guys post it in the comments, and then we'll get to some of those answers in a second. All right, cool. Kind of saying a year before, but legally May 2023 is when you can. Last minute here, as she said, African politics has its own time. We just move at our own speed here. That's how it works. My man Jaya said, "Who's gonna win the election? King Charles." Jaya's my cousin. What's up, Jaya? King Charles. Okay, so all right, cool. So the current state in Sierra Leone. So the incumbent president is Julius Badabio. He'll be returning after his first term. What this article from Al Jazeera says is marred by economic hardship and rampant inflation in a country still recovering from 2014 Ebola outbreak before the global sickness hit, frustration over financial distress and perceived failure to cushion the effect, rising prices stoked protests last year where there were some that had fallen. I will say this is an article from Al Jazeera, just reading their words. These are not my words. These are Al Jazeera's words. So I just want to be very clear. And the president of Sierra Leone did do an interview with Al Jazeera almost immediately following the protests and what happened last year. And during that time, he had a chance to respond to all the things that were discussed. So these are Al Jazeera's words. These are not my words. These are the words of Al Jazeera. I'm going to say that again so that we're very clear. Also from Al Jazeera, what they said is Kamara 72 said that Sierra Leone has systemic challenges. Sierra Leone can still not feed itself. We cannot light up the country. We cannot have sustainable, progressive economic development, economic growth, no serious infrastructure. That's what he told the press earlier this week. BO 58 said he intended to continue his push to improve access to public education, which he made free at the primary and secondary levels during his first term. And also his goal is to boost agricultural production to improve food security. Voters in June, of course, or next week, will also elect members of parliament, mayors, and local councilors. This election will be the fifth one since our 10-year civil war ended in 2002. So there have been 5 elections since 2002, and this will be the 5th election. There have been 4. This will be the 5th. All right, cool. King Joseph said he meant, yeah, so yeah. He said he meant to ask me who I thought was gonna win. I can't say. Oh, here, that was this comment here. Bro, I meant to say we think win election, but I understand you said you can't comment on the situation. I cannot, unfortunately, but we'll comment afterwards and I'll tell you who won. And Zainabu was just saying with the global sickness, I didn't call it out in particular because of the YouTube algorithm, but with the global sickness and highest inflation around the world, that led to some of the perceived challenges in the country. Amara Dumbaya says, my uncle, Dr. Okay, that's who she thinks is going to win. Dr. Samora is going to win. Okay. Liz Z says, just a little trivia. The U.S. chose the first Tuesday in November to accommodate farmers way back in the day. They didn't want to clash with travel, market, and holy days. We did a lot of stuff in the United States to accommodate farmers, and they don't anymore, which is interesting, especially Black farmers. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. I'm not gonna get into my whole rant about the United States right now. Okay, so Zainab's also saying sectors are broken since war, long recovery, beautiful country and people, but very poorly managed. We will be in the 5th MP round. Nice. Okay. Mari saying hi to Amara, and also saying thank you for the trivia. King Joseph is asking about life and business in Sierra Leone. That will be a conversation for another time. I don't want to get off topic because we are talking about the elections today. All right, cool. So you can click on the link in my bio, and it's the very first link there that'll take you directly to this live, so you can see what I'm presenting on the screen, and you can see what people are saying as we go along. I know it's very difficult to follow along. Patricia, who mentions Brazil, are you calling in from Brazil? Are you watching from Brazil? That would be a first that somebody's mentioned they're watching from Brazil. And shout out to everyone else who's just joining. Again, Vin1911, I'd love to answer your question about obtaining beachfront property in Freetown, but I want to stick to the topic of elections. So come back to another live actually at the end, remind me of that. I do have an Ask Me Anything section at the end. We can talk about that. We can answer any questions that people have. So Liz says, this is a good question. Will APC still support the diaspora to apply for citizenship as it's done currently? What I understand, the answer is yes. I can't speak for them entirely, but this is a good question, Liz. What I understand is this is a constitutional update and change, and so it would have to be an amendment to the Constitution in order to change that. And from what I understand, there isn't any plan to do so if, in fact, it changes over. Great question. especially for those of you who follow along, because many of you have been getting, and I know that that's a really important thing. So yes, as far as I understand, that will continue. Okay, cool. So who are the main candidates? There are many, as I mentioned, 11, but we're not going to go through all 11, right? We're just going to go through the top two because they're expected to be they're the two front runners, and they're expected to be the winner, right? Either one of those two will likely win. So first, we have the incumbent of the Sierra Leone People's Party, or SLPP. He's a doctor. There you go. Dr. Julius Matabio, a retired brigadier in the Sierra Leone Army, has been serving as the president of Sierra Leone since April 4th, 2018. He rose to prominence at a military head of state of Sierra Leone from January 6, 1996 to March 29th, 1996, during his tenure as part of the National Provisional Ruling Council, or the NPRC. He was also a part of an overthrow of the government at one point in time as well. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he got much of his education in the United States. As a candidate of the main opposition during that time, he emerged victorious in a runoff vote in 2018 during the presidential election, actually defeating his main rival of All People's Party with just 51.8% of the votes, so very slim margin. Both international and local observers declared the election to be free and fair. Bio succeeded Ernest Bai Koroma as president, taking on the responsibility of leading the nation forward. This is actually from Sierra Leone. The comments on the left, the picture on the right is from Al Jazeera. Okay, so that is the current president and the SLPP candidate, Dr. Julius Matabio. And disregard the headline here. I was working on this to the last second, so disregard the headline because this is from a completely different thing. This is the APC. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna change this now. I'm gonna fix that because there's no way that it should actually say what it says. So I want to fix that so that nobody is upset about it. So we do have two main parties, as I mentioned, SLPP and APC. It's a point of contention a ton here in Sierra Leone. I have friends in both parties in terms of in government, working in government, also running for office. And it's very interesting to see how the tribal, how tribes and tribal background has a lot to do with people's choice, even where they're living comes up a lot. I was not aware of this until moving here, well, until visiting here more often. But there's definitely a very, very strong tribal element to the different political parties here. And I think that you guys should all be aware of that. And we'll talk about it a little bit more, because I think it has a lot to do with how people make decisions on who they vote for, as opposed to the candidates or their platform. And it reminds me a lot of in the States, right, where you have people that maybe you're not a specific tribe, but you're kind of a tribe, right? If you're the Democratic tribe or you're the Republican tribe, you vote for your candidate regardless of how good or bad they are. And I think people here would say they would see some similarities in that as well. I have seen some people flip parties. I know someone who flipped from one party to another just recently, and he's going to be voting for a different party than he was a part of previously. And you've seen a little bit of that in the States as well. So I don't think it's that surprising, but it does happen from time to time. And so, so yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So now let me get back to the live, because I just wanted to make that correction so that I didn't upset anyone, because you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. Let's hit share. Let me know if you guys can see. Yeah, it looks like we're live. Cool. All right. And of course, let's get back. Okay, so the direct competitor for the presidency in Sierra Leone, or the main opposition, I should say, is Samura Kamara. It looks like I lost my connection on YouTube. Can you guys still hear me on YouTube? Give me a thumbs up on YouTube if you guys can hear me. I lost my connection for a second. And if you're joining on Instagram and you want to see what I'm presenting on screen, you want to jump over to the YouTube Live. So click on the link in my profile and jump over to YouTube Live. Great question that came from Rome, MCCO. Rome asked, how much does the United States have an influence on the election? I'm not sure much. As with other countries, sometimes they have folks who do election watching, but at the end of the day, there's not much real influence. All the influence comes from within the country. Okay, so you guys can hear me, great. Africanus is saying per Al Jazeera. In terms of the question, okay, so there was a question that Robert Grissom asked. It's a great question. The question was, what happens if neither candidate gets 51% of the vote? And Africanus said, per Al Jazeera, this is what happens. A presidential candidate must secure 55% of the total votes. If that is not achieved in the first round of voting, a runoff election will be held between two candidates with highest votes. And so there was a runoff the last time, and it was just over 51.8%, which is how the current president, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, won. Now, let's talk about Dr. Samura Kamara, who is Dr. Julius Maada Bio's main opposition. He was the runner-up in the last presidential election in 2018, and obviously he's the candidate for the nation's top role. He is an economist, served as the candidate for the All People's Party Congress, All People's Congress Party in 2018. Obviously, prior to his candidacy, he held several prominent positions, including Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of Sierra Leone from 2012 to 2017, when APC was in power last. He was also the Minister of Finance and Economic Development from 2009 to 2013. He was also the governor of the Bank of Sierra Leone from 2007 to 2009. And he was also financial secretary in the Ministry of Finance during President Amati Jan Kaba's administration at the last time before that, when, if I'm not mistaken, that was APC as well that was in power. Although unsuccessful in his bid for presidency, his political experience and economic expertise continue to be influential within the political party in which he's in. I also do want to mention he's 72 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and President Maada Bio is 58 years old, at least according to reports. Okay, so you guys can all hear me, great, because we did lose connection for a little bit, so that's cool. So King Joseph says, thanks, bro, for the good, informative live. I appreciate your intelligent work. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Let's see. Just in terms of American influence, there was a question. I think I saw the Carter Foundation will come to observe. So I guess that's former President Jimmy Carter from the United States Democratic Party. I would imagine that's what we mean by the Carter Foundation will come to observe. Yes, the United States likes to observe other people's voting, but actually ever have any part to play in the process, which I think you should actually be on the outside. But I know they were observing the elections in Nigeria as well. And we're not able to quell concerns. So we have EU observers here, is what Zainab saying. Also, Lizzie said they stand Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is part of the envoy to observe Nigeria's recent elections in February. She did, and that's because she is the founder of Fair Fight, which was it's about voting and voting rights. She created this nonprofit or this organization because she lost the governorship of Georgia to the former what is it called? I think it was the Attorney General, the person who was in charge of votes. She lost to that person in Georgia, and it kind of feels like it was unfair. So that's why her organization is called Fair Fight. And so it sounds like, you know, they had her go to Nigeria to observe the elections, her and her team. but many people feel like that was to no avail, because at the end of the day, there are folks who feel like it was not free and fair there. Anyway, moving on. So we've talked a bit about who the candidates are. I want to get into some of the issues in a moment here. So how do people make their choice? I think this is interesting. So I talked a little about tribalism impacting people's choices, and the deepness of it, I think, is interesting. So identity trumps issues, as they say. So what does that mean? In Sierra Leonean politics, ethnicity and region have historically been more appealing to the electorate than political ideologies. The southern and eastern regions are strongholds of the SLPP, while the northern and western regions are more inclined to support APC. An example of that is as follows. BO won an average of 87% of the vote in the seven southern and eastern districts in the 2018 presidential runoff, while Kamara won 78% of the north and west, excluding Freetown. And that makes sense, right? BO, SLPP, 87% of the vote in the southern and eastern districts, which is the SLPP stronghold. Kamara, APC, 78% of the vote in the north and west, obviously excluding Freetown. So Freetown is considered western area, western rural area. There's a question that King Joseph has, and I think it's an interesting one. He said, what plans do they have to develop Sierra Leone? It's time to make things better for citizens of Sierra Leone. So both have mentioned jobs, and both have mentioned forward progress. I am still looking for specific lists of platforms for the party that I want to share with you also on Monday, because I know some folks on either side. I'd like for them to share those with me, and I share them with you all, so you guys get a chance to hear it, because I had a very difficult time finding, like a full list of items, so yeah, I'd love to get that as much as I can as well. Okay, so the plans are in the manifests, and so manifestos, I think it's just fine in the manifestos. So Zainab, if you could help me find out where those manifestos are, I'll definitely share that with the group. It'll be after the election. It'll be good for you all to know. I would imagine most people watching this anyway are not voting in Sierra Leone. So it might just be good to hear what the candidates were focused on and what they're doing. Liz Z said you might have I might have answered it, but was I able to answer the APC stance on diaspora citizenship? Yes, the answer, as far as I know, is it remains the same. I think it would have to be changed through a change in the Constitution, and I don't know if that's likely. They also the question from Anne-Marie Harding is, who won Freetown? That will be decided Saturday. We don't know yet. Okay, so just to mention, success for BO then was partly due to tripling his vote share in the north from 6% during his unsuccessful 2012 run to 18% in 2018. Given that voting patterns seem likely to remain the same in 2023, eking out marginal gains in opponent strongholds has become even more critical for both candidates this time. Okay, so identity trumps issues. More on identity. In recognition of these ethno-regional dynamics and the need to reinforce voter support bases as well as expand into new areas, BO has undertaken nationwide tours since the start of the year, visiting almost every chiefdom in the country. These visits have often strategically aligned to coincide with the launch of new projects or in the disbursement of funds, such as community shares of mining revenues, offer a reminder of what the president can deliver. That's what analysts say. Al Jazeera was told by a person named Kylie that BO has a big head start and the opposition is going to struggle to catch up. Meanwhile, a court case against its flag bearer has left the APC lagging behind the ruling party's preparation. Kamara accused of misallocating public funds. allocated to consulate renovation project in New York when he was minister 2012 to 2017, was first charged to court in December 2021. The case will be heard next on July 14th. Now, this is something that's been going around. This is WhatsApp videos and WhatsApp comments on this particular topic. I'm not going to dive into connecting. Wow. Okay, I'm back on. Did you guys lose my connection? Let me know if you guys lost my connection. I'm back, and my a little bit better now. Let me know if you guys can hear me on YouTube, and can you guys hear me on Instagram? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me on Instagram. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me on YouTube. Sorry, guys. Okay, Marishai says you can hear me. King Joseph said, I would like to see healthcare and education improve in Sierra Leone. Wouldn't we all? I agree with you on that. Okay, you guys can hear me? We're back. We're back. Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Shout out to living in Sierra Leone, right? These are the challenges on the ballot today. So, all right. So let me bring this back up. I want to present again. Bring the presentation back up so you guys can watch. All right, let's share my screen. Sorry about that, guys. Hope that didn't gross you guys out, but had to do it. Okay, presenting screen now. Okay, some people said they lost me, but I'm back now. Okay, so Africanus actually is mentioning that both the sites contain the manifestos. So, so both Samora Kamara website contains his manifesto and SLPP website contains theirs. So what we'll do is, before this is all said and done, we'll pull up the manifesto so you can see them. And so you guys will know what are the manifestos. So before I do that, let's just finish up the rest of this conversation, and I can just actually just do that live in person with you all, so we can look at the manifestos and we can look at the full list. I tried to go to a couple different sites before, couldn't find them, but let's try it now. Okay, cool. So the issues on the ballot: economic hardships. That's one of the things that come up. The opposition figure is keen to move the spotlight away from, this is what Al Jazeera is saying, away from them onto issues such as economy. In 2018, the SFPP rose to power, promising, among other things, to fix excruciating poverty and a youth quake of unskilled, underemployed, and unemployed youth roaming the streets. But massive unemployment, high levels of inflation, and a depreciating currency continue to inflict pronounced economic hardships on many Sierra Leoneans. In August 2022, there were protests in Freetown, which we talked about, and several northern towns about soaring cost of living, resulting in more than 20 deaths, if I'm not mistaken, 26. As security agents fired at protesters. This time, President Bio has promised a youth unemployment scheme with an aim of creating 500,000 jobs in 5 years. For his part, Kamara, who has also promised to intensify efforts in job creation, has pledged to work towards transforming Sierra Leone from a consumption to a competitive production economy. Okay, so according to a political consultant that talked to Al Jazeera, they said talk of the economy can help the APC in urban areas, but in rural areas, ethnic identity will be the deciding factor. The economy might be bad, but people may think without their ethnic group at the top, it will be worse. And that's what this person told Al Jazeera. Indeed, such sentiments were echoed by 55% of the respondents to a 2020 Afrobarometer survey from Sierra Leone's eastern and southern regions, where Bio hails from. Most respondents there felt that the country was moving in the right direction, but only 15% of the opposition-dominated northern and western regions agreed. Analysts say that a repeat of the scale of protests seen last August is unlikely during the election. So far, so good. I haven't seen anything as of yet. There's been talks of it, but I think the rain and I think last year is just the way it ended, I think might be a deterrent, but we'll see. Okay, moving on. So how the election works. So there's a lot here, but I think it's important to see. So alongside the presidential poll, Sierra will also hold parliamentary and local council elections. The last parliament dissolved on April 25th was comprised of 132 directly elected members, MPs, and 14 paramount chief members of parliament, PCMPs. So MP stands for member of parliament. PCMP is paramount chief member of parliament, paramount chief member of parliament. The new parliament after June 24th elections will constitute 135 MPs and 14 PC MPs. I think what's interesting to note here is the fact that the last parliament dissolved on April 25th, and the next election isn't until June 24th. So technically, there hasn't been a parliamentary process going since then, right? Government's still running, technically. You know, I wonder how people forget that I'm on live every Monday, every Monday at 9 p.m. GMT. I always get calls during the live from the same folks every time, without fail. All right. So the parliamentary vote and the MPCMPs will also happen to take place. The presidential election, the vote will be conducted under a district block proportional representation system, as opposed to a constituency-based first past the post system since 2007. This is something that I think has to be explained by an expert, because I don't totally understand it. If anybody does, feel free to mention it. I have to be honest, I don't understand that piece of it. The past the post system versus the constituency based. I've tried to understand it. It's just not registering for me. So if anybody has any answers to that, please share it. But that is how the members of parliament, the PCMPs, Speaker of Parliament, and the Deputy Speaker of Parliament will be selected. So voting at a glance. There are a little over 3 million Sierra Leoneans registered to vote, which is an increase of 195,000 since 2018, almost 196,000. Voting is done manually by secret ballot method, and voters will elect the presidential and mayoral candidates at the same time. Since the proportional representative system will be used to elect members of parliament and councilors, voters will cast their votes for these two positions separately. In this round, voters select their political parties of choice instead of directly voting for individual candidates. Votes are physically counted at polling stations and electronically tallied at the district and regional tallying centers led by Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, which manages the country's national elections. More on the ECSL in a moment. At the polling stations, the ballot papers go through 5 stages. They go through screening, they go through reunification, they go through reconciliation, they go through sorting and counting. After the counting, the station's preceding officer announces the results for agents and observers to record. The outcomes are later recorded in the reconciliation and results form, which is the RRF. The provisional results from all polling stations are sent to the district and then regional tallying centers for an electronic count. The regional commissioner in each region will announce the provisional results via traditional media, television, and radio. These provisional results will be further tallied at the National Tallying Center, the NTC. The final results will be announced by the Chief Electoral Commissioner via traditional mass media. Okay, there was a lot there. I want to leave that up on the screen for you guys to read that. But I do want to answer some questions and respond to some comments really quickly. King Joseph says, I would like to see a strong business economy in Sierra Leone so the citizens can have good jobs and feed their families. I agree. Fredlin McCormack. Fredlin, what's up, Fredlin? Fredlin is my cousin. Fredlin McCormack Hale, I should say, is my cousin. Shout out to Fredlin. I didn't even know you watched these lives. Also, the IGR had an app which people can ask questions about the electoral process. Okay. Can you, Fredlin, later, can you text me that? I want to share that with everyone in the replay. I'll put it in the description where you can find the app so you can ask questions about the electoral process if you want to. And so I can share that as resource, folks. Thank that, Fredlin. That's very helpful. Okay. So a little bit more about how it works, not who it works. Man, today was a day. You guys are gonna have to excuse some of the typos and things in the title. Moving on. So actually that was the same as the previous slide. So there has been a little bit of controversy. Now I am going to read directly off of an article. I am not going to add conjecture or thoughts. I am just going to go right into the article that describes some of the controversy surrounding the election, because I do not want anyone to think that I have any opinion one way or another. I am just reading what has been reported. So I'm going to get into that in a moment. Before I do, let me just check to see if there's any more questions, comments, thoughts on anything that I've said so far. Are there any questions, comments, or thoughts? Fredlin says, hey, Bemba, great job. So this is my middle name, guys. I used to be so ashamed of my middle name, by the way. And because it wasn't cool to be African when you were a kid. Now I say it loud and proud. My name is Bemba. And also there was a Chief Bemba many years ago. And that's where the name comes from. So he was also a great grandfather of mine. So that's where the name comes from. But yeah, so Joannes Bemba Hatagwa is the full name. But the family calls me Bemba because that's what they called my dad, and I'm a junior. So there you go. Okay, so because the internet connection isn't so great, and it's not actually the connection, it's my laptop, I'm discovering, because my phone hasn't had any issues. My laptop is struggling right now because it's been really hot today and it's been overheating. And so I'm hoping that the 17-degree Celsius AC is cooling off my laptop a little bit, but it doesn't seem to be working. Okay. All right, so I want to get into this article from Africa News because they talk specifically about the Electoral Commission, the Sierra Leone Electoral Commission. And I think it's important to talk about this because it is something that is happening, and there was supposed to be a march today. I don't know if it happened because I went past the headquarters, but I'm not 100% sure. King Joseph saying I have a nice Mende name. Thank you. Mari Shai saying her Mende name is, what is it, Jello Bamba? Nice. We got some Mende names. My younger sister's middle name is Boyanyande Mo, which, if I'm not mistaken, means beautiful woman of the village. So yeah, we got real Mende names. Fredlin saying that the march did not happen. Okay, so and I'm going to speak to a little bit of why. What was supposed to happen? There was supposed to be a protest, supposed to be a march today, and I'm just going to read the high level notes, but let me just read it so that you guys understand what's been going on leading up to the election. And there's some other things that I'm going to talk about as well that I read and saw. So, all right, let me just share the screen really quickly and just present the screen in its entirety. So instead there was a meeting. Okay, so instead of actually having the march or the protest, Fredlin's letting us know that there was a meeting at that APC held with ECSL, which is the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, and the CSOs and other actors. So I just want to put that up on the screen because that was from Fredlin. That note there was from Fredlin. Okay, cool. So let's talk about it. So there was a little bit of controversy around the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone, and we're going to talk a little bit about what that looked like. So the APC leader and presidential candidate Samura Kamara demanded the resignation of the ECL, the Electoral Commission ahead of the June 24th presidential elections. So opposition presidential candidate in Sierra Leone demanded okay, it's just the same thing. So Julia Manabai, ruling SLP party is running for a second term. So, okay, let's see what he said. So the SLPP's intention, its goal, prime objective is not to conduct free, fair, nonviolent, and credible elections. This is what is coming from Dr. Samura Kamara's camp. Therefore, following the APC will demand Mr. Mohamed Kone and all electoral commissioners to resign forthwith, to be replaced by an independent, internationally accredited team of electoral commissioners. That was said during a press conference. Now, he had given, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 72 hours for the resignation, and that hadn't happened. So then there was supposed to be a march today. Now, I want to read to you guys the press release about the march because I saw it and I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share it with you guys because, these are all things that are happening in real time, and I think these are all things that, make this country what it is, right? So, I want to give you guys everything that you can see from a person living in the country and what you hear about. I'll also mention that although I don't anticipate anything happening, there are many NGOs that have expats that have told them to leave the country this week, recommended that they leave. I actually have some friends that have left the country this week. I have some friends that are on vacation. I have friends that who've elected to do their vacation during this time, who haven't been instructed by their companies to leave. And I know other people who their actual organizations were requesting that they leave. So I know some people in Europe right now. I know some people in Gambia. I know some people in the US. And so many people have left to basically sit out the elections, which is unfortunate, but that is the space that we're in. So let me quickly just share the screen here, which was the press release from the All People's Congress. Let's see here. Let me stop the share and let me present the screen, a specific screen. Yeah, I think King Joseph is a little surprised about the fact that some people are encouraged to leave the country. That is just the nature of how things are here, is that because we have our history, obviously with the 10-year civil war, I think many people are just apprehensive. And because of what happened last August, I think people are even more worried. And so I think, obviously, and I will mention, the Global Peace Index mentioned that Sierra Leone is top 5 safest countries to be in on the continent of Africa. So I just want to be very clear on that. On the 54 countries on the continent, Sierra Leone is in the top 5. So I just want to be clear on that. So anybody, I don't want this to be a deterrent to potentially visit here or move here. But this particular time, I think, is one of these situations where people are a little bit nervous. Yeah, so with that, here is the press release from the 17th. So it's 2 days ago. Basically, it says the All People's Congress Party, APC, convened a press conference on June 14, 2023 to address critical issues that they believe will significantly impact the outcome of the forthcoming general elections. In a strongly worded statement, the party's flag bearer shed light on several concerns that he believes threaten the integrity of the electoral process in Sierra Leone. Outlined below are the key issues that were highlighted by APC. One is constituting the ECL and management of their operations. Two was manipulation of legal framework for electoral governments. Three was deliberately flawed census as a foundation for rigged elections. This is a point of contention for a lot of people, is the census, not having clear or updated numbers on the population and where is something that has been a point of contention and been discussed broadly in the news. So if you guys want to look that up, you can, but that is just something that's come up a lot. And then manipulation of electoral data is the fourth of, I think, 5 items that they mentioned in this document. I'm just going to see if there's anything else, because there was a second page, if I'm not mistaken, to this. Yes, there is a second page, and it's rather lengthy. So let me open that up and share that, because there's actually 6 items. I just went through the top 5. There are a couple more. So let me just go ahead and present the screen in total. And so that way, I just share the whole screen. That way we can just review that really quickly. All right. Actually, I can't share the whole screen for some reason. Oh, the entire screen. Here it is. So the next, number 5 was erosion of confidence in key institutions. Number 6 was intimidation and violence against others. That was the 5 key things that they wanted to talk about, that they wanted to share, and they wanted focused on. Okay, so now, as it pertains to ballots and the like, which is another thing that's come up in the conversation, SLPP, the ruling party, did put out a press release to discuss this. And so I thought I would give an opportunity as a response, although it's not a direct response to these accusations by the APC, it is a response nonetheless. So let me see, give me 1 second to find it, because I think it touches on, okay, sorry, this wasn't SLPP, this was the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. So they had a communication that went out on the 16th, not necessarily in response, actually, because this was the day before what actually came out from APC. I don't know if there's an official response. I wasn't able to find one, but this was something that came up because there were some questions around the about ballots. So here's something that's interesting. The Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone would like to inform the public of the delay of a cargo freight bringing the consignment of ballot papers and result forms from South Africa. The commission apologizes for this delay and any inconvenience it may have caused to our staff and partners. The public will be informed at least 12 hours before the arrival of the special cargo flight to Lunga Airport. By this public notice, the earlier press release is nullified. Thank you for your understanding. So there has been some controversy around this as well. So I just wanted to mention that it was not in a direct response to the APC. I will also mention that the former president of Sierra Leone, Ernest Koroma, has put out his own press releases. I'm not going to go through those right now, just in the interest of time and in order to try my best to be fair and balanced. I will not review that now. All right. Now, the last thing I'll say is no matter where you are in the world, regardless of what you believe, I do think that if you can, you should register to vote. I don't want to get on a soapbox here and talk about registering to vote, but I absolutely vote in every election possible. I voted in 2018. I voted in 2020. I voted in 2022. I am voting in 2024. 2023, I guess. 2024. I'm voting in 2024. I voted in 2016. I voted in midterms. I voted in general elections in the United States. And you better believe in 5 years, I will be voting in the next presidential election here in Sierra Leone. I just will. I feel like it is my civic duty. People died for the right to vote. And in my opinion, it is a very important thing to do. So I'll just put that out there. Okay. Many people died for the right to vote. And so I just feel like I'd be doing a disservice by not voting. All right, cool. I'm gonna open it up to questions now. I mean, we did a lot today. It was very dense, a lot of information. Next Monday, obviously, we'll go over the results of the election, and I'll let you know who won, if you don't already know. If you won't have already known by that point. But I want to open it up to questions. Does anybody have any questions for me, separate from the election stuff, because I can't really answer my own personal opinions. Okay, here's a good one. Sierra Leone 2, Nigeria 2. Comments. Actually, Sierra Leone had 2, Nigeria had 3. And we're talking about yesterday's, what are they, Soaring Eagles versus the Leone Stars. In the last minute and a half of the soccer match that was in Monrovia, Liberia, Sierra Leone fell, the Leone Stars fell to the Nigerian Soaring Eagles, I think is their name. I don't normally watch football or soccer, coming from the States, I say soccer. I don't normally watch soccer or international football, but obviously that was a big deal for us. It was a big game, and I happened to be at Pearl Hotel working, so I got a chance to see it on the TVs right there. And I look up, it's tied. It was when I got to the Pearl, we were down 2-1. I look up, it's tied. And then I look up again, and we're down 3-2. And it's unfortunate because we should at least walked away with a tie. There are no moral victories in sports, but I would tell you, with a country the size of 8.4 million people versus a country the size of 220 million people, if you can walk away with a tie, that is huge, considering the size of the talent pool that Nigeria has access to, right? So unfortunately, that was tough. Liz Z says, is technology part of the electoral process in Sierra Leone? It is technically a part of it after the vote counting is done manually. Yes. Okay. And I said Super Eagles. I said Soaring Eagles. I guess Liz saying it's Super Eagles. Okay. My bad. Super Eagles. Nigerian Super Eagles. Mr. KK said SL played well, deserved the draw. They did, and they unfortunately did not get it because the goalkeeper came out. I mean, I'm not going to act as if I am a expert in football, but I would just say this. I am someone who watches sports enough to know strategy matters. And when a goal is that big, you want to be closer to the goal, not further from it, when you have a striker getting ready to kick. And I think he came out too far, and it was a goal. It was an easy goal, as a matter of fact. But that, it is what it is. Things happen. It's easier to have an opinion as someone who's not in the game and who's watching on television than to actually be there. But yeah, I was very disappointed by that, because as soon as he came out, I was like, what are you doing? And yeah, because I saw the replay after the goal, obviously, because I heard I was on my computer working, and I heard everyone's responses. And then I took a look up and saw the replay, and I was just thinking, why would he come out from the goal? All right, cool. Anything else before we go? It is 10:16. As always, I do appreciate you guys all joining. And of course, I appreciate all of the engagement on the live. You guys are all really helpful. You guys keep me going. I go live every Monday because of you all. I have some really exciting updates about travel this year that I cannot wait to share with you guys. I think I'll do that on the next live. I have 2 contracts to sign, potentially 3, but I will be traveling this year, and you guys will have the opportunity to join me in that travel. That's what I will say for now. We got a couple places that we're going, that I'm going, and I think it'd be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you guys. I'm really excited about that. Trust me, if you stayed on this long and you like having these kinds of conversations and you want to have these conversations in person, then I do think these trips are going to be really important, because the trips are meant to engage in these kinds of discussions, not necessarily politics, but really more, how do we bridge the gap between the diaspora and Africans in the diaspora and Africans on the continent. And a lot of the discussions, a lot of expected takeaways and policies and plans, I should say not policies, but plans will be discussed, and you'll walk away with concrete ways to do this. And so that is something I'm looking forward to, because this is really what I'm passionate about, and I get a chance to travel and also be a part of things that I'm passionate about at the same time. And that's all because of you guys joining these lives every week, and all of you on Instagram who have really been sharing the word and having the channel grow. It's led to folks wanting to work with me in that capacity. So I really want to thank you guys for supporting as much as you have. Shout out to Liz for sending another sticker. So I think Liz has now shared 2 stickers, a super sticker, and another sticker from earlier. So thank you, Liz. You know, Liz has been supporting the channel for a while, joining and commenting. And so I appreciate you for also supporting financially, because every bit helps. Trust me, it does. You guys have no idea. Okay, Africanus, great question. Did you ever open up your consulting business for people looking to move? Do you have a Calendly set up for people to schedule with you? Yes, I have. I am 90% done, but I can still do the Calendly though, to set up like consultative sessions, like just like brief consultative sessions to get those things started. Africanus, email me. Email's right here. The Zelle email is my email, authenticafricanlife@gmail.com. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Send me an email and we'll get you a Calendly link and get on the phone with you to do some consulting if you're ready to move, because I can help. And even if I don't have the answer on the call, I will follow up with answers, right? So we do a consulting call and it's a paid consulting call. It will not just be, you have to get all your answers on the phone at the time. Because I'm on the ground, I can find a way to help you get those answers. All right. Pro Women J says, relationship between chiefs and president, respect for each other's authority. Example, Ghana's president visits and respects authority of the Ashanti king. That is a really good question. And I think the answer to that question probably has a lot to do with which chiefs you're talking about and which regions, right? I think in general, there is a respect because there's a lineage there, there's a history there. Chiefs are chiefs for life, right? So doesn't matter the president, you can be a chief through 5 presidents, just like Queen Elizabeth was the queen through, I think, 8 U.S. presidents or something like that, 9 U.S. presidents. I can't remember what the number was. So you expect the same thing with chiefs and presidents here. There's some nuances, of course, and I won't dive into those in particular, but you can imagine that there can be great relationships, there can be not so great relationships, put it that way. And I'll leave it at that based on what I know and I understand. Okay. Pro Women J says, by the way, your hair is looking really good today, Salon Barber. Let me tell you guys something. I love a compliment, man. Thank you very much, Pro Women. I appreciate that. You put a smile on my face, as you can see. Yeah, I do have a salon barber. Yes. Yes. To answer that question directly, yes, I do have a salon barber, but I haven't gone in a couple of days. I have to do a temp fade and all of that. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Fredlin saying, this is the Sense BOD app. I don't know if the app link, if for whatever reason, is showing up in the comments when you're trying to put it in the comments. Sometimes they don't allow you to post links in the comments. So Fredlin, you're probably gonna have to message it to me, and then I'll just have to put it in the in the description, or maybe like a comment after the replay is posted. Guys, by the way, we are at 90.7K. If you guys can see that, 90.7K on Instagram. I need your help to get to 100K. I need your help to get to 100K. So if you are following on Instagram, make sure you forward as many posts as possible, the profile to people to get it to 100K. I'm going to do some kind of giveaway. I haven't thought about it yet. I'm still working on the idea, but I'm going to do a giveaway when we get to 100K. We're going to figure out what that is, but I will be doing a giveaway because that is a nice round number. And I started this year hoping to get to 70K. And you guys have done an incredible job of sharing everything and helping the page to grow. And so, we get to 100K, we got to do a giveaway. We have to do something for a follower. So if you're not already following, of course, go to _African on Instagram. And if you're not a subscriber on YouTube, just make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Because I do want you all to share in the success. Okay. Okay, so Liz is just saying Nigeria is the same way. You have political, religious, and traditional leaders / rulers. Okay, cool. All right, so it looks like I answered most of the questions that people had. We're at 10:23, and the folks at Pearl Hotel have been gracious enough to allow me to stay here as long as needed, but I don't want to be here all night. I might as well book the room if I'm going to be here all night, which I'm not going to do at this very moment. So I do want to draw this thing to a close. Are there any final questions, comments, thoughts before we go? And while you guys think of those, I just want to remind you guys again, tomorrow at 6 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST, and I guess that's 11 a.m. PDT or PST, will be the land purchase video, the 5 acres of land. You guys have been asking about it. I told you guys when I went to Bo, I went to go look at it. It's incredible. It was a beautiful day that day. You guys are good. Yeah, trust me, you're gonna love it. I mean, I go through everything. We walk through the land. We talk about what's on the land, what I can grow there, what to do with it, all kinds of stuff. And you guys, I think, will find it interesting. So make sure you guys pay attention. I'm going to premiere it. So if I premiere it, you guys will actually be able to click on the link and set a reminder so that when the video goes live, you'll be reminded. So you'll be able to see the thumbnail for it and everything long before it goes live. Tonight, before I go to sleep, I will schedule the premiere so that you guys can go and set your updates. So I'll schedule the premiere, and then I'll also shoot over a community post too as a reminder for everyone. Okay, so Fredlin says she's going to send me a link to the app separately. An link to the app separately. King Joseph said, bro, that LA wedding you went to was dope. It looks like you had a great time. Thanks, King Joseph. Not too many people watch that video, so I appreciate you watching that video. I put a lot of time into vlogging the wedding. My boy Hank and Tembi, a Hollywood powerhouse Black couple who are both writers and a director in their own respects. Very, very good at what they do. Hank and I go way back to freshman year in college. So it's amazing to see people that you aligned with mentally, and you guys are, on the same path, even though your paths might separate. He went to LA, I was in New York, and then I ended up moving to LA. But we've always had like very high level conversations, and we always talked about like real life stuff. And to see how far he's come, as a writer in Hollywood and working on shows like the new Fresh Prince, and he was also working on that show. Shoot, my nephew used to watch the show too. Now I can't remember. Family something on Netflix. And then she directed an episode of Insecure in the final season, and also was a writer on the show. They're a big deal. And so I did vlog the wedding. and the wedding weekend, because it was quite the weekend. And I met some very interesting, very, very smart people. And that's what you get when you have people like them. Of course, getting married, you're gonna run into some very smart, interesting people. And then, of course, I also ran into people I went to high school with, because it wouldn't be a wedding, it wouldn't be an event if somebody I went to high school with wasn't there, because it always just is like that. Pro Woman J has a lot of interesting questions. How long is your ride home? What do you eat today? Just being nosy. Okay, so my ride home is going to be about, I don't know, 20 minutes. And I'm riding with a ring light. I'm going to be riding on a bike. The car that I use is in the shop right now. I'm going to be on a bike, riding on a bike with this equipment, a ring light and all the other stuff. I got bags over there you can't even see out of frame that I'm going to be riding home with. It's going to be about 20 minutes or so. What did I eat today? Great question. So this morning I had a smoothie. It was watermelon, mango, and banana. So that's what I had for breakfast. It's good. Really good. I mean, a lot of day this morning because I woke up at 6 and I was awakened at 3:30 in the morning last night as well. So I needed that. King Joseph is saying, about the Hollywood wedding. Funny you ask, what is a traditional Sierra Leone wedding like? Different depending on which tribes you're talking about, right? In general, there's almost always a bride price. And I can't remember, I can't believe I can't remember what the bride price is named in Sierra Leone. Guys, don't kill me. I'm still getting acclimated to my own culture, which is wild, but growing up in the United States, you miss out on all this stuff. I actually went to a wedding in Bo. So I will share footage from that wedding, so you can see at least what like a Mende wedding might look like. And Pro Woman J says, "Gotta peep that vid. Bye, everybody. Hugs." That's, I guess, the vid for the wedding. All right, guys. I think that's it, right? We're good to go. I want to thank you guys all for joining. It's always a pleasure. You guys have always been enlightening and always helpful. A couple more people I want to shout out. I want to shout out Manelik, who had for a while been helping me put together the chapters on the videos. I also want to shout out Koiva, who has kind of picked that up and has continued that process of doing that. I mean, you guys have been incredible, and I really appreciate you, because without you guys, watching along live, it's kind of difficult to skip to the part you want to see, and they've created that for you. So if you've ever watched the live and you can see there's like little chapters in there, that's been because some of the subscribers have decided to volunteer their time to watch the live in its entirety and put timestamps on different topics and the comments that you guys are commenting. So I want to shout those two out. Sorry. And then lastly, Liz Z, I want to shout you out again for the $10 contribution today. You didn't have to, and you chose to, and I really, really appreciate that. And so, guys, as always, make sure you stay tuned. There's a lot. Okay, so really quickly, a bride price is called calabash. That's the bride price. That's another name for bride price in Sierra Leone. At least that's what Jai says. Jai, don't give me the line now. I hope that's what it is. I think I do remember it's called a calabash though. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Okay, well, real quick, Jai is also adding, weddings are lit, especially when open bars are included. Meet new in-laws. Yes, I no longer drink, but I have enjoyed an open bar or two in my day. Trust me, I have. Jai is talking about fine in-laws. All right, that's the cue to go from the live. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you know anybody who is interested at all in the politics in Sierra Leone, want to know who's running, what the process is like, how it works, all of that, share this live with them. If anybody's planning on visiting Sierra Leone, anybody who is interested in politics in general, just share this live and this channel with them. We got to get to 10,000. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of this month, which is really going to be tough to do. And I want to get to 20,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of this year. So I'm asking for all your help to push us there. And then, of course, we want to get to 100,000 on Instagram as soon as possible, because then we got to make a new goal. If the goal was 100,000 and we get there in June, what's the new goal? 120,000, let's say. Let's say 120,000 for the end of the year on Instagram, 20,000 on YouTube. We're already at 19.3K on TikTok. So the goal is to get to 30K on TikTok. And if we do that, guys, then we've really hit our goals. All right, guys, I want to say thanks again for watching, and I will see you all on the next video.